All right, it's time to run it back. This will be episode 4, and we are going to revisit the 1993 film Bronx Tale. So, us was good.
Oh man, just chilling on a lovely day, Finished watching A Bronx Tale yesterday again, of course. I've seen it numerous times, but I haven't watched it recently, so I wanted to kind of go back over it a little bit. And I'm glad I did because there was a couple of things I missed. One, not missed, but forgot about, and one in particular that I want to mention later on. So we can talk about it.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it in a while either. I watched it again the other night. It probably been about 4 or 5 years at least since I had watched it from beginning to end. Sometimes you would catch it and you flipping through the channels it would be on. But
Right.
I watched it from beginning to end, and I'm glad I did too, because a couple of things that I didn't catch the first couple of times that I saw it,
Mm-hmm.
or that I didn't catch it all, unless I was catching for the first time. So very good film, though. My overall impression from the first time I saw it, even till now, very good film. Very detailed film that has a lot of things going for it. It talks about growing up. It talks about love, racism. Uh, you know, uh, Shows you how people view people, even people in their own family, and who they actually look up to. So there's a whole lot in one bag, but a very good movie. And so it came out in '93, and Robert De Niro acquired the rights to it from Chaz Palminteri, who it was actually it was his deal. He was doing he had a play. He was doing a play, and and he was basically a one man play. To my understanding, like he was pretty much a one man show, and he was going around doing shows, and he was just about all of the characters. I don't know how he pulled that off, and De Niro got a chance to see that. Was very intrigued by it, especially when he found out that it was largely based on parts of Palminteri's life.
Right.
Growing up as a kid, a lot of people didn't know that, and it was very interesting. So they worked it out, and it ended up really being De Niro's first overall, directorial. That was his debut there, and even though Chaz Palminteri had done some smaller things, this kind of catapulted him into, the guy that we know now in Hollywood. He started to get some bigger and more noticeable roles.
Yeah. Jasmine Palminteri, for those who aren't sure, he played Sonny in A Bronx Tale. So
Mm-hmm.
Prime is referencing. Yeah, man. It's a really good movie, even today. I mean, obviously, it takes place back in the '60s, 1960s, in New York, obviously the Bronx. And you mentioned the racism part, which is part of what I wanted to bring up later. But
Mm-hmm.
so the movie starts in 1960,
Yeah.
which is when C is small. He's a small kid, and where he sees everything go down that leads into the movie. So, and we're in an Italian neighborhood. So, it kind of expect the racism thing to be
Mm-hmm.
heavy, especially in the '60s. That's just what it was. And neighborhoods were even more divided at that point as far as living. I mean, you have white neighborhood, black neighborhood, or Italian neighborhood, or whatever the case may be. So
Mm-hmm.
it was segregated even more.
Yeah, so that was very interesting. They started it up straight from, um, from the childhood of uh, Calandro. I always had pronounced it
Calogero.
Calandro. In his childhood, and basically he comes out and he's enamored by the mobsters and the gang-like figures, mafia type figures that hung out on his block. And when his dad would drop him off, his dad was a bus driver, played by Robert De Niro, hard-working man working for the city. But every time he got off the bus and spending time with his father, whether his father was bringing him home from wherever it was he was coming from, or just going on a ride with him, he'd always look to the right and he'd see those guys hanging out. So he would go into the house, and his father would tell him to go straight in, and he'd go in. He'd sneak back out because nobody was in the house but his mom, and he'd make his way down to kind of watch to see how they moved and the things that they did. And this was very interesting, and we see this a lot. So we see a kid, very impressionable kid, because he has a hardworking father, like we just mentioned, that seems to be doing everything right. He had what seemed to be standard a lot back in older times in the 50s and 60s, a lot of stay-at-home mom. And it seemed just like a regular family that's doing the right thing, but he was kind of drawn in by the life of people not really doing, people really not on the straight and narrow, we should say. We see that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people's story for real. You see, it's always somebody that you look up to that's outside of your family, or somebody who is the man on whatever street corner, block, neighborhood, area, regardless of what it is. And this was 2 doors down from his house. So yeah, this every day, literally every day, gangsters are 2 doors down from your house, and you just look at them and how they move. Then you see the coolest one and the most seemingly loved one, but more feared one. That's the one you take to. And the point, well, the point that he said in the beginning, C said in the beginning, is that Sonny had never looked at him before. Like he looked at Sonny all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he had never looked at him before until that one fateful day.
Yeah, when he noticed, Calogero, he witnesses basically a murder. He witnesses a murder. One of Sonny's boys was being messed with. Sonny comes out, breaks out the gun, shoot him out in broad daylight. Like they just broad daylight, not at night, broad daylight, right there on
Jack City.
Block. It's probably his block, I should say, and shoots him in broad daylight. And Calogero, he witnesses it. Parents hear, just like everybody in the neighborhood, they hear things, hear the gunshots and all that, scrambling, where's my kids, all this, that, and the third, what's going on? His parents come and get him, takes him back, he goes back in the house. We see a little bit later the police come by because they think that he might have seen something. They're asking questions. Mm-hmm. And of course, we see De Niro.
They know these.
Well, that's true. They knew he saw something. And so Robert De Niro, so his pops is kind of trying to shield him from everything. And my boy don't know nothing, because he knows basically what could happen if they find out that he told, and the type of people they were, and what that could mean for his son and his family. So he's trying to convince the police that his son doesn't know anything, but Calogero comes straight out and says, I know everything.
I know everything. Whose man's is this?
Like, no, just chill. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, "Oh, this little kid in here, is he gonna last long?" Like I had no idea at the beginning he was gonna definitely be like the main character the whole time. I thought someone was gonna shift because that didn't look too good, bro.
Not at all.
Yeah, so
then he was on the corner. I mean, the police took him down, but his dad holding his hand, walks him over to the bar, the spot. Got it lined up against the wall, goes down the line. No. Gets to Sonny. And, I don't know. We never really found out what it was, because it's not like he didn't know, and it's not like he didn't know he should say something. Must have clicked. Must have been the way somebody was looking, the way his dad was looking at him, and then he sees the way Sonny's looking at him. He was like, nah, bro. Nah, I don't know for real.
Yeah, so, and that impressed Sonny. That impressed me. The dude didn't rat on me, didn't tell on me. He couldn't pull me out to the police or whatever. So he didn't notice the kid then, but he knows the kid now. And he knows for a lot of reasons that, what happens to him or what could happen to him lies with that kid. But I think I don't know what your impression was. I don't think that one of the reasons he took a liking to him was just because of the fact that he know that the youngin can flip on him at any time. Right. I think he genuinely saw something in that kid that he really, really liked.
Yeah, he saw that. He saw that moment. Well, yeah, he saw him like the first time he saw him was after he shot dude. He's walking back and he looks and he sees that the kid is sitting there. So he knows that they saw him at that point. But as far as going forward, I think the same. I really think the same thing that he didn't keep him close because he thought he was a threat or was gonna tell on him later or something like that. He liked the kid enough. He liked the way that he talked to him when he called him to the bar. He had him come to the bar. Well, he had to go get him and bring him to the bar.
Yeah.
And he talked to him. He liked talking to him. He liked what the kid seemed like. Plus, it seems like he didn't have any kids of his own. Sonny didn't have any kids of his own. So he was like, yo, I'm going to take this little kid under my wing, especially after he started, like, obviously, he lived 2 doors down. And working at the joint, when they got him working at the joint and he coming down, Sonny just took him under his wing like he was his own son, whether for good or for bad, you know.
We learn a lot about their family too, like and the wife especially, because when Sonny sends his mans down there to talk to to talk to Pops, and Pops was Lorenzo, talk to talk to his dad, and offer him $150 a week basically to to do some numbers, do some things for him.
Mm-hmm.
And De Niro's character is basically like, nah, I don't, thank you, but no thank you. And the wife, this is interesting with her because even though she didn't want any trouble and she admired and loved her husband and the bus driving job that he had and all that, she also starts to think, I mean, well, maybe we could, use that extra money. It's like she's like basically, I love my man, I love my husband. I don't want him to show him that I don't want to say disappointed, in him that I don't appreciate him.
Yeah.
He's doing what he can do, but we can use a little extra money in it if, he could do it with being involved but not directly involved. Maybe we should think about it.
Yeah, she was on some Tasha St. James for real. No, but yeah, she was like little extra money can't hurt, and everybody else is doing it, which just shows not really a flaw in her character because people needed money, blah blah blah, but it really showed how pure Lorenzo was as a character, or as far as his son's view of him, I guess. As Chaz's view of his dad in real life, I'm guessing he kind of held him up, put him on a pedestal to start out, and then for this to be the case, like him not to do, like he did literally nothing wrong in the movie. He did nothing wrong. He defended his son. He stood up for his family. He respected the gangsters enough to not wild out, but he wasn't scared to question them. So, and he was a hard working dude.
Yeah.
So he made, and at the end, he comes to the funeral. So he was the perfect character.
What was one of the standout parts of the movie, one of many standout parts, but at least something that stood out to me was when Sonny, of course, nicknames Colagero, he names him C. All right. So when C goes down to the confessional and he's sitting there and he's talking to he's talking to the father, and then he's letting him know that he witnessed the murder and all that. And the father's, oh, wait a minute, and the father's trying to pull some things out of him right then, and little C still decides like, yeah, I'm gonna confess my sins, but I'm not gonna talk,
Yeah.
And so, the father kind of lets him know what could happen and what he should say, and way that the man upstairs views it. And the one line that I love is when he's sitting there and he said, your guy, what he said, your guy is bigger than my guy up there, but my guy is bigger than yours down here.
Yeah.
Awesome. Like he is telling you right there, he got genuine love and respect and a liking to, to how Sonny gets down. Like, he, I love that part, man.
Yeah, like, hey, God got it. However, this dude could take my life right now on
Right now.
at any point in time. So
Get what you talking about. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, for real. I mean, understandable. I mean, a lot of people think that way.
Yeah,
And,
complex character that Sonny though, because Sonny, we're not used to always seeing these mafia figures be the type of person that he was on a personal level. Like the conversations he would have with C obviously, when we talk about the 60s, everybody, baseball fans know how big the New York Yankees were in that time. The things that they were doing. And, C was crazy about Mickey Mantle,
mm-hmm.
crazy about Mickey Mantle. And he pretty much, he held him in like very high regard. And he has a conversation, one day with Sonny, and Sonny pretty much lets him know that, look, Mickey Mantle makes $100,000 a year, whatever. And he says, he don't care about you, and says something to the effect of what was happening, like y'all couldn't pay the rent or whatever, the whole 9 yards. He's pretty much telling C, don't look up to people, don't hold them in as high regard as you hold them. You need to be a man yourself. Those people don't try to look out for people, look up to people who don't really care about you, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of double edged because he stole, he kind of, I mean, his innocence was probably gone when he saw murder. So that's probably where his innocence. But part of it after that was him taking the thing that he loves and making it like, it don't matter for real. It don't matter in life for real. So that might have, I mean, he said, when they went to the 8 years later, he was like, he never saw Mickey Mantle over the same again. So
I'm different.
Changed his whole perspective, for better or for worse.
What do you think about? We know that C ended up going over working at Sonny's place. Sonny started tipping him a little bit, and, for doing, for helping him out there, and he rolled a few dice for him, and he ends up with a nice amount of I don't say pocket change, and we like $600. Has the money at the crib, and of course the family finds the money. So Lorenzo, being the good father that he is, once he finds out, once mom rats him out, whatever, the whole 9 yards, he wants no part of it because he know what that could mean. He know what that could mean down the road for him and his family. But here's wifey again. The wife's kind of like, wait, we gotta think about this. We gotta think about this. Like I'm like, how you gonna rat him out? You already know. Look, like I know it's your son, but you know what's gonna happen when Pops finds out. So how you gonna rat out your son, but then want your husband, you want you to think about maybe we should keep this money. Like what's going on with her?
I mean, she knew her husband was not the type of guy who would take this lightly. But she was like, but we could use this junk for real. Mm-hmm. As if it was her money.
Uh-huh.
At any point, it was the kids' money. But I guess kids' money is their money, right? Parents' money. But nah, she knew better, but she didn't want to be the one to make that call. Plus, it's the 60s, so she probably wasn't her call to make in that time.
I don't trust her, man. Like I know she loved her family, but she seemed like to me like her husband is on the bus all day. She seemed like to me, man, like she run across somebody who might got a little loot. Some bad things might go down on the low. I mean, that's just the I hate to say it, but that's the impression. I gave her the benefit of the doubt over the $150. But then after she ratted out a little, man, but then wanted to keep the money, I don't know. She's like one of the people that might would love her husband, but might, stick her toe in the water somewhere else. I don't know. So.
That's all I got on that.
I don't know. I just don't trust her. So we were talking about 8 years later, man. So Sonny, he's risen up the ranks, so he's a true boss now. Of course, C is a lot older on that, and we see C hanging out a whole lot more. I mean, he's teenagers. He's over there a whole lot now. He's pretty much family, with the boys over there, and like a son to Sonny, always looked out for him. But this is a thing, and I'm pretty sure you notice this. Most people notice it. So, in the midst of him hanging with them or whatever, he's always also hanging with his crew, his boys. See, got his crew. He always hung out right there on the block. and they were always kicking it. And he had some knuckleheads in that group, and Sonny really wasn't too fond of them because he knew what type of guys they were. But the scene where Lorenzo's still driving the bus and he comes up and he's, as usual, he sees C over there hanging with his boys. He was like, come on, come here for a second. And he tells his boys he's going to be back, but he ends up walking up to the bus and it's like, come on, get in and ride with me. Like, do I have to? And it's like, get on in. You notice that unlike early in the movies when he would ride with his father on the bus, he should sit directly behind his father, right? But this time, as a teenager, he gets on the bus, he sits on the opposite side of the bus, not directly behind his father. That tells you a lot about how he really views his father right there.
Between that, how he viewed his father, and I guess just being a teenager, throw that in there. Plus, he's been up under Sonny for 8 years.
Yeah.
A good part of 8 years. So all of that played, I think, all of that played into that moment. But again, his dad is still the guy, because without this moment, he doesn't meet or doesn't see Jane for the first time.
Yeah, Terrell Hicks comes into play. And I always wondered, was this the first time that he realized that he liked chocolate? I mean, I wonder, I wonder, was this the first time he really realized that he liked black, or at least black women, or black girls, because he's not just, she's cute. He's taken away from the second he looks at her. He's blown away, bro.
Well, I guess the question might be, because in other scenes, when not Mario, the other homeboy, when he sees a black person come through the neighborhood, he's snapping, and Steve's like, they're not bothering you, so don't bother them, whatever the case is. So it seems like he already had an understanding of how he felt about black people, I guess, in general.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least he didn't necessarily have anything against them from a distance. Whether that's true or not in real life, or even in this movie, like if the characters you really saw him grow up, he might have threw in an N-bomb here or there, but it was to the point that they were way worse than what he was. That was the point of the scene to me. They were worse than he was. He at least had some common sense about it. They're not bothering you, leave them people alone, whatever. In that bus scene, it's no telling if that was the first black woman he had seen up close, or that had actually looked at him, especially at his age. Nah, because he's been on the bus with his dad riding back and forth. So he's seen different people. He just ain't see this one.
I remember seeing that, and the first thing I thought about, Jodeci popped in my head. Take my money, my house, and my car. It's like the way he was looking at her was crazy. And it was mutual. She was really digging him too. Which I had a lot of questions about that as well. But it was like he was blown away. It wasn't just like somebody in the bus, like, oh, she's nice. Like, he was gone. Like, he was gone. Like, ready to risk it all, bro. Like, it's right then, and a whole lot of eye contact going on there. But we have the biker scene that comes up not too long after that either, where the bikers come into town and making all this noise, riding down the street. Sonny sees it, notices immediately it's probably going to be a problem. He knows where they're going. So, so they go down to the bar, of course, and we know the bikers in there, and they didn't want to let them in at the first time. They had to leave. They said they just want a couple of beers. That's all they wanted. Seemed genuine for a minute, but then the bikers started acting the fool. So it's become obvious that they really didn't come here just to drink beer. We crewed up, we coming down, we gonna do what we want to do. We're gonna make fun of you. This is what we do, right? And Sonny had to set up. Sonny's like, okay.
Man.
Got his boys in the back. But this is the joint, right? This is the trip part about it. Why do you think that he let C stay in there while they was handling business? He didn't tell him to step outside.
Why do I think he's let him? I think he wanted to see if he was about that life or not for real. And at least let him see it up close and personal. That was my thought. Because he sure could have told him, go down the block, blah, 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 at that moment, because they both were standing at the door.
Yeah.
And then he locked the door and said, now you can't leave.
I think there's a message in there too. I think also, like you mentioned, he'd been with them for basically 8 years. And one of the messages could have been, always take care of your own, in that particular instance, because these guys were obviously, I don't know if they were from out of town, I don't know where they were from, but they're coming through there. It's their neighborhood, made up mostly Italian Americans, and you come in there, you dumping beer, all that whole 9 yards. I think that one of the messages was, take care of your own. Mm-hmm. And I want you to know I take care of my own. Because let's be real, most times we see movies like this, whether it's a mafia movie or whatever the movie is, when stuff is about to go down, usually the person that's about to get busy is like, son, or what up, take your mother, or son, go down here, whatever, this and that, get away from here. Nah, he shut the door and let C. They won't let nothing happen to C, but he let C see all that firsthand, like 3D style, pay-per-view for free. You see what I'm saying? It went down.
Yeah, he got hit though. He did get punched, and he was out of there in the flow, ducking.
I'm gonna tell you what's crazy too, though. What's funny was to see, which they was rumoring them and setting it up for later, was of course when the one biker, he's out of the bar and he's going down the street and sees boys jumping in, is jumping.
Yeah.
Start kicking them. Come on, see, they get in there, To me, that part was hilarious though. Right? That was we youngins, but we gonna show you we about that life.
That was showing the difference between him and them as well. Again, because mob mentality, they went straight to let's get them, following whatever, as opposed to C, who really wanted nothing to do with it, and wanted nothing to do with it, bro.
How you feel about the scene when Sonny's going to the fight, and remember the day before or whatever, he had invited C to come down to the fight and sit ringside with him. So you got seats up front for the fight, whatever, the whole 9 yards. And C respectfully declines because he'd already told his dad he was going to go with him. Of course, they get there. Dad can only afford the seats up in the nosebleeds, but they go up in the nosebleed seat. And Dad already automatically knows, he notices C kind of staring down to where Sonny and his people are ringside. And then Sonny kind of extends his hand out and say, look, I understand it. I invited him down, so on and so forth. Me and his father not on, not the greatest of friends or the best of terms, but let me know, I'm gonna let him know it's nothing but love and respect. I mean him no disrespect. And he sends his mans up there to ask him to come down, both of them, to sit ringside with them. Father was proud, didn't do it.
He didn't want no parts of it. He didn't want to be seen with him. He didn't want to rock with him. And he already knew, he already felt that Sonny was leading his son on a bad path. So him accepting that was just like taking the money from taking the $600. It would have been the same correlation to him, maybe in his mind. So going down there, not only going down there, not only taking something from him, which he got with dirty money, whatever you want to say, but to be seen with him as well. Just to get the benefit of that moment, he was like, nah, it's not worth it. I think it was a character thing. Might have been a pride thing too, This man ain't gonna take care of me. I take care of my son, and this is where I got my own ticket. I don't need you to take care of me, basically. But you saw C was like, yo, that's it. He up there touching the fighters. I want to be down there with them. It was just the same thing to his personality. He wanted to, the working class man as a sucker, all that. So we saw the fact that he stayed is crazy, but he did not want to stay at all. He embarrassed his father, and the father was embarrassed for two reasons, actually, but not being able to afford those seats in the first place, and then for having your son want to go be with somebody else, even though you brought him to the same place. That's not as good a scenery.
Yeah, Lorenzo, De Niro's character was a strong dude, man. He was a strong dude. Like, imagine couldn't imagine to have that type of hurt you have to deal with, knowing that your son, who you love beyond this world, had that much admiration for another, person here on earth, man. He was a strong dude. And that scene right there, he even tells them, like, when they're at the boxing, you want to go down, you go ahead and go down there. You just go ahead and go down there. Like, it's wow. I mean, I couldn't even imagine. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't even imagine that, man. He was one strong dude, one strong character in this here movie.
Agreed.
Show. So, yes, sir?
No, I would say now we're gonna get to the good stuff.
So, so I guess we fast forward to the scene. Will be the next scene where what we're going to jump to would be the I guess we need to go to first where your boy sees old girl again
at school.
Yeah. And what got me in the problem, he said, I remember one part he asked her, "You go to this school?" And I'm sitting there like, how big is that school, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know about you, but like, I remember back when I graduated, back in Chesterfield, at the time, we had like the largest senior class ever in Chesterfield County. Of course, they eclipsed that now, but multiple times. But I still basically, black or white, even if it was just facially walking down the hallways, I kind of knew when I saw them somewhere else, that they went to my school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I have my kid, but this was back in the day, obviously.
Yeah.
But even my kids, they don't know everybody at their school.
Yeah. I don't know them, but sometimes I might recognize a face.
Nah. Nope. They be like, who? Where? They go to nah. They never seen them before. Maybe that's just them, but I think it might be different. Ain't no tell. Plus, they were already segregated, so they won't be.
That's true. That's true.
Anyway. So they were like, he just happened to find that one.
Yeah. So he's spitting game to her. They talking the whole 9 yards. And the one thing I noticed about this, right, is when they started talking, of course, he kind of ditched his boys a little bit because they wanted to go hang out after Easter, do some things. And he had told them that he had to take a test. They tried to get him to, forget the test, this, that, and the third. So we already know what type of guys they are anyway. He said, I missed it last week. I got to get it done. So they respect it. They move on, holler at him later. He sees James getting outside. So he makes his way outside to go speak to when they're talking. And what tripped me out is like, and maybe that was the thing back then, like, I don't know, but they go down, make eye contact again, they having a good conversation. And all of a sudden they already ready to go on a date. Like off top, bro. Like it was quick. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, if I remember correctly, didn't she ask him about going to the movies first?
Yeah, you want to take me?
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she asked him. Yeah, she was very forward. She was very, and she, she fixed his hat. She said he had beautiful eyes and all that. First, of course, he talked to her. He came up to her, but still, the feelings were mutual. The admiration and the conversation were mutually enticed, I guess.
What? I always wondered.
I don't want to say entangled. We're not going down that route.
I always thought about, what made her so crazy about him off top. Like, not to say there's nothing wrong with it. I'm all for whatever. Different races getting together. I did it outside of my race. It's nothing like that. But what I'm saying is she seemed to be blown away by him like immediately. And I was wondering what you think why do you think that could have been? Like just off top. Like she was just crazy about it.
I don't know. You see people that see somebody that you just don't find attractive or and they are like, yo. We know people who have people who are not attractive to other people, and they say the same thing. They say, they look good to me. So maybe it was just that attraction, that unexplainable attraction, inexplicable attraction.
All right. So the scene, I know you itching to talk about. We got to talk about it. So is the whole biking scene. Well, when we got the black guys come through and ride.
Oh, yeah.
And
no! Before that.
What's that?
Nah, when he walks her home.
Oh yeah.
When he walks her home, even though he knew where he was going. He knew that he wasn't supposed to go over there, but he did it anyway to impress her because he didn't want to look like a punk. He was like, "Yeah, I'll walk you home." She in her mind, she had to be like, "You know, you went to a black neighborhood, right? Like, you know where I live.
Yeah.
So you going to a black neighborhood, you already know what it is." And they got to the point where he was close enough that she was good, but he was not all the way in there to the point.
He went on the bus.
So it's like, yo, yeah. So you can respect that. I mean, I respected the fact that he was like, yo, I'm gonna walk you home. I'm gonna walk you home. I know,
points right there.
Dudes do that on a regular basis, though.
Yeah.
So you know you're not going in the neighborhood. You know you're not supposed to be in this neighborhood. Going to visit somebody, you know you're not supposed to go to that neighborhood. You go anyway because you want to see that person. But
that's true.
To the next scene, which is the scene you were talking about.
Yeah, so we have the scene where of course, the black kids are riding through the neighborhood. C's crew is out there. A couple of them had enough, set it off on old boy out there. They, jump one of the bikers. And things got ugly out there. They're beating them to try to get C to join in on them, beating them up. Because the crew is straight. I mean, they straight racist. They can't stand black people. I mean, those were the times. There was obvious tensions between the blacks and Italians. And so they beat up the young man on the bicycle, try to get C involved. And it basically, he didn't want the boys to seem like he's a punk, but by the same token, he didn't get in there throwing punches or anything. He's basically trying to look like he's in it, but tell old boy, I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm not trying to hurt you. And of course, you have the people in the neighborhood, hurry up, get away, cops are coming, and all this pops off, so things go down.
Racist too.
Yeah. They ain't worried about the young man on the ground, they worried about the cops coming. So, so crazy scene, man, crazy. I don't even know what I would have done if that had been me.
Yeah, well, I mean, it reminds me of an incident that I was not involved in, that these dudes were jumping this dude, and one of the friends of these same dudes jumped on top of him and said, that's enough. So, I mean, who knows where it could have gone if that dude didn't step in. It wasn't to that level, but C did. C just ain't want to be the one hitting nobody in the first place, because that just wasn't his character, personality. Plus, Sonny told him not to do it. He told him not to rock with them dudes.
Yeah.
Oh, before we go too far past, why was Sonny driving backwards to his spot, yo? He drove like 3 blocks. He made turns all backwards to get back.
Nice with it too. He just holding conversation while he driving
backwards.
Yep.
Crazy. That was crazy. That was crazy to me. I just
and that was doing it around by the part he was driving backwards, because this is when C is having a conversation with him about him liking a girl and liking a black girl. Yeah. And very powerful part, because we think about, you look at this. He has a conversation. Sonny tells him what he wants to hear. Don't worry about what everybody thinks. You like him. He gives him the whole spiel about you only get 3 great women in your life. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Another classic, very memorable quote from the movie. But on the flip, he asked his father about it. And Lorenzo was pretty much like, he didn't come out and say like he really has anything against black people, but he's always felt that you should only date and marry your own.
Right.
So he really ain't for it. And we don't know what his reasons are, but is it just because that's the way it is? Or is he somewhat racist? Or we don't know if it's just the fact that if everybody just stays within their race, it's gonna be a lot less issues and problems. Whether he agrees with it or not.
That's a great point, because it was kind of like keeping his head down, which his normal persona, keep your head down and do what you got to do, but don't make trouble. And he could have seen it as marrying a black girl, dating a black girl, as making trouble for yourself that you don't even have to have, you don't even need.
True indeed. So where we at now? So we're about the time period where C is going to get advice or whatever. He's going to pick up Jane. We're going to see Jane, right?
You gotta mention the The opening the door joint.
Oh yeah, what he saw, he said if you so what did he say? He said if you get out, he says no. So you go you get if you open the door for her and she gets in, if she unlocks the door for you, I forgot how he said it.
She's a good one. Yeah, yeah.
Then she's a good one. She's a winner.
Goes through the window. If she's unlocking the door for you, if she's not unlocking the door for you, dump her.
Dump her like off top.
Yeah.
Man, spitting like wisdom. Like
yo,
he's spitting like mad wisdom, man. Yeah, so basically, if she don't unlock the door for you, you go inside the car. She got, that ain't the one.
And that kind of, I mean, I said Lorenzo was a perfect character, but what you pointed out about the race thing, I didn't even consider that and think of him as a perfect character. So he had whatever flaws he had as well. Just like Sonny, you may have thought Sonny was a bad character, but he had the wisdom and cared enough to do that part. So it was, the characters were complex. They weren't just good or bad like most people are, not just good or bad.
Yeah, and like I said, we talking about the love that he had for C. He actually told C to use his car.
Yeah.
To take her out. That's what the crazy part was. Like he told the young man to take, to use the car to take her out.
Yeah.
We found out later in the movie. But when he goes, did we do CC going to meet her and he think everything is going to be all love, and come to find out, she starts to ask him about there was a beating of a black man, a young black teen in his neighborhood. Did he know anything about it? Whatever, that happened to been her brother. And of course he knows about it, but he's like, oh, now I know nothing about it. Now I wasn't there the whole 9 yards. So she's testing him to see if he's going to tell the truth.
Right. That goes back to when he was a kid, though.
Yep. Definitely goes back when he was a kid. And she tells him she knows that he's lying because her brother said that he was there.
You're right.
He right there. So brother gets out the car, whatever, the whole 9 yards tell, he's all face all jacked up. And he tells him, like, you were there and this and that. And he was like, so he has to switch up, like, no, but I didn't do nothing. I was trying to help you. The whole 9 yards. Her little brother is furious, still hot, about what happened to him, the racial tension. Pretty much saying that he's lying. You didn't try to help me. You just sat in the third. And then everything is all thrown left. And then out of nowhere, C drops the N-bomb.
There it is.
He probably didn't even know that was coming.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you think he knew it was coming?
Did I? No, but when people get mad,
yeah,
it's the question of when people get mad, do they say what they really mean, or was he saying something that he knew would be hurtful to him? He already knew, like, if it's hard to give an example without giving an example, but was he trying to? Was it his instinct to say that, or was it just trying, thinking of the worst thing you can say in the heat of the moment, saying something? Right. People say stuff in the heat of the moment, and they're like, "Oh man, I'm sorry, I ain't it." But that was one of the things. That was the thing that I was talking about at the beginning. One of the things that I was like, I really hadn't even thought about in the whole concept. And thinking back on the movie, I didn't think about this particular part. This is the part, like, for real, because after that, obviously Jane goes back to him. Is that okay? Is that a good thing?
Man, let's be real. Let's be real. We know how we are as brothers. But a black woman? Like, black women are a lot less forgiving than we are, bro. Like, in a lot of instances. And he just committed, like, the ultimate, like one of the ultimate joints. Like, but she went back to him. This still raises a lot of questions for me about her character. Not that I don't think that you shouldn't forgive people for things, but that's one of them things, I don't know,
It was the first instance of you seeing somebody mad. This is what they went to. Mm-hmm. This is so you're like, okay, well, this is who you are then, because you can't have just acted like that. Just like, you must act like this on a regular basis. That's what I would think. You must act like this on a regular basis. This is your true character right here that you got in the heat of a moment, and that's what you went to. You went to the worst thing that you could say. But she ends up going back to him, which is crazy. That's crazy.
And so we find out later, brother tells her the truth. I mean, it all comes out that realistically that he did try to help, and she's overjoyed about that whole deal.
And went to
and everything.
Oh, bro, at night. She went to his neighborhood at night.
That's like that's real.
By herself.
That's real. That's real. Like we talk about like how somebody truly feels about someone and the things that they do. That kind of goes back to our last episode. It's the same, but it's different. When we did episode 3 of Running Back, we were talking about love and basketball, and I asked you and Kim about whose room did they go in first time Monica and Quincy were intimate, and they went to her room. It's like sometimes you just have to notice what those characters do. They kind of let you know the real level of things.
Right.
They went to her room. This particular instance, she's like she's going to his neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Like looking for him. So that's deep. Like she really liked this dude, man. Like she really liked this dude. I don't know. I mean, it's not something that has to be so deep that we got to get a backstory, but it just makes you wonder again, did something happen to her before then? Had she been hurt? I mean, I don't know. Was she looking for something? Was there I don't know. Did she see her mother go through some things with the father and she was looking for, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Those are the type of things that about characters when a movie is like impactful. Those are the type of things that they could make movies about just the side character. It could be a whole different thing, and it would still be like a deep movie because it would be a part of A Bronx Tale and just her perspective of the whole of everything, basically.
All right, so we're good. So we go to basically now is we see boys' crew, C's crew geared up. So they're ready to go get some revenge because I guess,
This is from when they had the argument, when C and Jane had the argument and he went back home.
Yeah.
Then he ran into his boys right after that.
Yeah, and they ready to get some revenge on it because some of the black teens had already come through and,
supposedly
jacked up their spot, throwing all types of stuff over there and, messing the spot up where they hang out. So they want to go get some revenge. So they go get in the car, which we kind of find out the car's hot. And they want to go ride and get revenge.
Right.
And they managed to get C to ride with them. And he's rolling with them. And luckily for C.
Well, I'm sorry. But before that, C is on the corner when they're asking him to ride with him.
Yep.
And Sonny and the crew pull up. So that happened before. Sonny and the crew pull up.
Yep.
Jack him up against the wall, thinking that C set Sonny up for his car to get blown up.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, because they found something. It was something they found something under the hood of his car, right?
The bomb. Yeah. So Sonny went from protecting him and defending him and letting him borrow his car and all that.
Yeah.
Like a son to me. Like his dad told him, he don't care about you, he don't care about nobody. He only care about himself. So from that, automatically to you tried to get me killed. Now, if it was somebody else, they probably would have killed him immediately. Yep. They probably wouldn't even ask no questions. But because it was him,
let him go.
He at least had to see what he was going to say. But still, I mean,
they could see even said, why would I do that? It was there. I could have been killed in it. The whole 9 yards. Why would I do it? And that had to hurt. That was a great point. Had to hurt Sonny. And I know C is already blown away to miss everything else that's going on. He's got a lot on his shoulders now. On the way on his shoulders. And so he leaves. He and Sonny, he leaves Sonny, and they're not in a good space at the moment. Very emotional. So C ends up with his boys in the car, and they're riding, and they're on their way to make things happen. I'm over in the black neighborhood, And lo and behold, luckily for C, who pulls the car over and tells him to get out of the car with his boys?
Sonny.
It was Sonny. Sonny was willing to put everything. First, he probably felt bad. He thought about everything that went down, just went down. I still believe he would have done it, even if that incident didn't happen. That if he had known he was in the car, something was about to go down, he still would have stopped. But just the fact that they just had that altercation, or had that, that whole situation about the bomb being in Sonny's car, and C just dropped the car off, just made this even bigger scene. So he gets him out of the car, and just in the nick of time, because of course, when C's boys head down, they get inside the neighborhood. They got those we call those Molotov cocktail joints.
Molotov cocktails.
And they're lighting, trying to light the neighborhood up. One of them.
And shooting. Blah, blah.
And shooting and letting stuff off. And they was bold. I mean, they went up in that neighborhood. They was some bold young
guys. Got out. No, most people, they ain't getting out of the car. They got out of the cars, shooting. And
And then one of the joints that I think it rolled up in the store or whatever, it didn't break. Somebody took it and threw it back, and it landed in the car. Mm. Of course, we know what happens. The car explodes, and all of C's homeboys, unfortunately, however you want to look at it, they meet their end. They die.
Right.
They all get blown up, toasted, the whole 9 yards.
So all of that is true. I mean, obviously it's true, but that one, it shows that they were kids because they were stupid, because they left some joints in the car, left some cocktails in the car on the floor.
Yeah.
What you leaving them for? Like, what you gonna take them back home? Like, what are you doing? So they were inexperienced. They didn't know what they was doing. They was trying to be hard and got themselves killed, basically.
Yep. So they die. And just at the same time, when C is in the neighborhood, C is trying to, they head down there. He's thinking about Jane, but they head down to the neighborhood. Everything pops off, and police and everybody's coming, and they get out there. He sees his homeboys. He knows it's them, even though they're tarp covered up the whole 9 yards. And the first thing he's thinking, that could have been me.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, some of the blacks in the neighborhood, in the midst of all the confusion, they notice that he's there, and he's out of place, and they start, getting riled up, and looked like he stayed around. If he'd have stayed around a little bit longer, things, could have got, kind of rough for him.
Yeah.
But Jane is there with her brother, and their brother, who, he's already admitted that, of course, it wasn't him, that he may be a good guy, and so on and so forth. He tells me, get out of here, man, get out of here. Things about to get rough. So he's actually telling me, go ahead and get out. First thing C thinks about is, man, Sonny, in his mind, Sonny saved my life, man. Like, I gotta holler at him. I gotta talk to him. So he runs back from that neighborhood all the way back to his neighborhood. I couldn't have made it a block, first of all. I'm tired. But he's, the adrenaline pumped up. He runs all the way back and gets to the neighborhood. He finally gets there, and he wants to go thank Sonny. Sonny's at the spot. A lot of people inside the place celebrating, having a good time, the whole 9 yards. And he notices Sonny way at the other side of the room. Sonny sees him, motions him over, and he's all happy. He wants to tell him, thank you so much. You saved me. Wanted to apologize for everything. And before he could even get to him, because the room is so crowded, before he could even get to Sonny, he kind of notices someone else moving through the crowd, and he admits he doesn't know, in so many words, he doesn't quite know what's going on, but something kind of doesn't feel right in the midst of all those people. And before he could make it over to Sonny, the gentleman that he noticed makes it over and shoots Sonny in the head. And that had to have been crazy just to see that, first of all. And we later find out that the gentleman that shot Sonny was the son of the guy that Sonny had killed 8 years earlier.
Yeah.
Which it started the relationship basically between C and Sonny.
Right. That's
8
crazy.
years, bro.
I didn't think about that was that. I mean, obviously, it is what it is, but I hadn't really thought about that was the beginning of the relationship was that moment, and the end of the relationship was that moment.
Yep.
The same family, just the son of the guy. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, they never tell us, but they had to kill him. Like, there's no way he made it out of
Yeah,
there.
we never found out, but ain't no way he made it out there.
Ain't no way. They was taking his gun. I was like, man, I'm surprised this dude ain't on the ground being stomped out right now. Like, moment it happened. Was that, yeah. I mean, everybody was so happy too. They was like, hey, Steve, hey, come over here. Like, all of them were. It was like different people were all like waving them over, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Because they all bad. They was all there at the moment when they threw him against the ball and all that. And they all felt bad from that moment. And yeah.
Yeah, so and then so of course Sonny's gone and leads to the final scene. So where they're at the they go to his funeral. And we're at the funeral home and there's somebody is there. We see all the guys and all the, the other mafia members and people that worked under Sonny and some other folks. And when this thing is over with, of course, C is still sitting there. When everybody's already pretty much left the funeral, he's still sitting there with Sonny's body there in the casket. And guy comes in, tells him, we got to close up. He tells the guy, I need a few more minutes. Right. And he goes up there to pray and speak his piece, say his goodbye, one-on-one to Sonny. And then who walks in?
Carmine.
Well, that's before Carmine.
Oh, no, his dad. I'm sorry, his dad came in.
Yeah, his dad walks in. Yeah. Renzo walks in. He's shocked to see his father there. And he asks his father what he's doing there. His father said he came to pay his respects to him. And pretty much let you know that it wasn't that he didn't like Sonny at all, but he kind of worded it to see that he kind of had something, against him because he kind of made his son grow up faster than he wanted him to grow up.
Yep.
And we all know that, we both have kids. They grow up quick. They grow up quick. So he pretty much let his son know that he really didn't dislike Sonny. He kind of let him know that he kind of respected Sonny. But he just, brought his young son into a life that had him grow up so fast. But he also mentioned that he wanted to thank Sonny for basically, saving his son, and, looking out for his son all these years. So powerful moment that all they went through, that, De Niro's character, Lorenzo, would actually be there at the funeral.
Yeah. But again, he was there for his son. I mean, he was there to do that, I guess, but he was also there for his son because, he should be there for his son. His son lost his friend. Mm-hmm. That's what dad's supposed to do, right?
Right. And then we see later on when his father said, I'm going to step out, I'll be over here. We see a gentleman come in and Carmine shows up, played by Joe Pesci. And he comes in and he's the guy that's going to be, at least for the time being, going to be looking over things in Sonny's absence. Mm-hmm. We come to find out, he's like, what you doing here, kid? And he pretty much let him know that, Sonny, saying goodbye to Sonny. Sonny saved my life. And Carmine tells him, well, he saved my life too. And that's when C looks up and notices the scar, and he realizes that Carmine is the gentleman who was getting hit with the bat when he was, a youth, that led to the shooting. Mm. The Sonny killing the guy. So all these years later, he sees him, and he lets him know, say, hey, if you need anything, kid, I'm here. You know where to find me. I'll be down at the bar with him.
Mm-hmm. Was it really over a parking space?
Nah. Really? Yeah, so this was, I want to ask you. So he does tell him twice, actually, I believe, that he tells C, you need anything, and I mean anything, you know where to find me. You come find me. C tells him, nah, that I'm good. After the first time he said it, but then he says it again. Mm-hmm. So what did you think C's life was like after all of this?
That's a good question. I don't think he went back to the bar, but I think he left. I mean, he was being respectful, not so much closing off the option like his dad did on the bus when they offered him the job, and he was like, nope, no, no, thank you, but no. C was like, okay, just in case things go all the way left, and I need you. I mean, I say okay, so that door, that lane is still open, which I guess it would be either. And anyway, if he showed up, even if he had said no, but as far as for the movie, he said okay. I feel like he said okay just to leave that door open.
Yeah, I think it leads to some questions, right? So I don't think he went back to the bar either. I mean, he said it after the first time Carmine offered that he wouldn't,
Mm-hmm.
but it also leads me to believe that he may have really found himself and went in a different path because you think about it, there was still going to be racial tension, but as far as him trying to have a relationship with Jane, at least on his end, he didn't have his boys to kind of judge him or stop him or whatever. His boys are gone. So he's basically, we don't know if he had any other friends, to be honest with you.
Right.
And as far as we know, he might have went and made friends with old boy that owed him $20. I mean, we don't know. We just don't know.
Tommy from Power now.
He, but but he still, he drew a lot of experience from his relationship with Sonny, and he still had his father around. So, it is what it is. But I don't think he went back to that bar either. I think he probably kind of found himself and kind of just stuck with whatever he decided to do.
And he became a writer and a playwright and decided to do a one-man show.
You know what it seems like? And I know it sounds crazy, like, where's this dude going? Seems like to me, so him and Jane date or attempt to date, whatever, over the years, whatever happens, they don't stay together, right? Years down the line, they meet again. Remember each other. I don't know, this, that, and the third or whatever. They end up together down the line. That's the way I see it. One of those things you see, like maybe you dated somebody in high school or college or whatever, didn't stay together, you dated for a while, y'all bumped each other at a nice spot, club, whatever, the whole night, meet again, exchange numbers, and then learn about each other's life in between, and you end up together. That's where I see it.
Does that happen?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it could happen. I can't think of any time that it actually did happen.
It happens.
Does it? I mean, yeah, it's possible. It happens in the movies. It definitely happens in the movies.
Yeah, happens a lot in the movies.
Yeah.
So I think we both enjoyed the movies. Great film. Jane Rosenthal, the producer, is a partner of Robert De Niro. And you would know that because not only because of the film company, but you go back and look at the movies that's listed under her name. Her and De Niro together probably done like 30 movies, like 20 to 30 movies together. So, it's Chaz Palminteri too. He's been in a few movies that under that same umbrella, that same deal. But shout out to Jane Rosenthal as well in that. So overall, 1 to 5 beers. What do you give? How many beers you give in this movie?
At this point, I feel like those couple things, well, mainly that one thing, really bothered me at this point in time in history, and it may be skewing my view a little bit. I got to go off the board and go because we go 3.5, 4, 4.5, whatever. I got to go 3.75. 3 3/3. 3.75. It's not 3.5 in my opinion. It might have been 4 previously, even maybe more, but 3.75 is where I'm feeling comfortable right now. So that's what I'm going with.
Me, I know when we talked about it in the group, there was a lot of people that had this movie in their top 10. Like I was reading some of the comments, one of my favorite movies, definitely in my top 10. And everybody has their own preference, their own opinion. That's perfectly fine. I look at it from the aspect of I'm a huge, huge crime movie fan. So it's probably right up there under superhero movies. I'm gonna be honest with you, shocking to some people, I probably enjoy crime movies just a tad bit more than I enjoy sports movies. Yeah, yeah. You know, superheroes, crime, sports. That's my ladder. And I look at this in terms of it being a crime movie. I think of some of the greats, the great crime movies. Doesn't stack up for me because it's not a whole lot of. I mean, it's crime in it, but it's not. But it's dealing with mafia stuff. But it doesn't stack up to the greats for me. So I kind of judge it kind of on a skewed scale. Also, if I had to point out something which I kept referencing during this deal was the way C and Jane met each other. I don't have a problem with the way they met. I just think they overplayed it a little bit as far as them gazing at each other. Like, don't get me wrong. I know they were trying to hammer the point that, man, these people feeling each other. You go back and watch it again. Man, don't nobody stare at nobody that long. Like, I'm trying to tell you, like, they, from the time she got off the bus, and like, when they first, that's like stalkerish, man. Like, I don't know, but the way they stared at each other, and then just how quick everything happened between them is what I'm saying. Now, granted, I know you only got but so much time to tell a movie, but it just seemed to me their relationship, the way they went about certain things was they kind of overplayed it just a tad bit. That's just my personal opinion. Just the long stares, and I don't know. But then again, he does go back to when we talk about how she was kind of straightforward to how she felt about him. I mean, like I said, there could be a backstory to that, so I don't know. But still a good movie. That's probably my biggest thing, though, is that I can get past all the racist stuff and all that, because it is what it is. It's part of the movie. It's part of the movie. It is what it is. So you go 3.75, whatever you're going with that. I am going to go 3.5 beers. 3.5 beers for me. To get a 4, you got to be something that I'm going to watch every time I thumb through the channel, whether I've seen it a billion times or not. This is not that movie for me. It's a movie that I want to watch, enjoy it, and then maybe revisit again years down the line versus I just watched you last Tuesday. You pop up again, I catch it in the middle and watch it again. So 3.5 beers.
Sounds reasonable.
3.5 beers. We leave y'all anything? I think that's it, right?
I think we covered everything. Shoot. It's got to be an hour.
And we say we'll do 30 minutes, right? Yeah, so that is episode 4 of Run It Back. Hope you enjoyed it. Join us on Facebook, the Sports Bar Podcast, and let us know what movies you would like us to review, revisit in the future. And also, if you would like to be a part of some of these with us, we would love to have you on with us to discuss whatever we're talking about, maybe your favorite movie and the movies on the list. The group has already given us a list of some great movies that we're going to revisit. But we're always looking for more. We're looking for more guests. So we appreciate you on that front.
No doubt, no doubt. I'm Source, at Smitty Source on Instagram and Twitter, at Smitty Source. And of course, join the Sports Bar Podcast group on Facebook if you're not a part of it, as we get down with the hip hop and the sports and the movies and the TV and all that on a regular basis.
I am Prime, at Prime SBK on Twitter and Instagram. And that's all you need to know. And just never forget, never, ever, ever forget, the saddest thing in life is wasted time.
Facts.